I get all the girls. Hope you guys like my new blaster rifle. You probably don't know this, but clone troopers got recently stationed in the desert planet of Iraq. My mission is to eradicate this. No longer will the Republic be oppressed by the season pass and useless emotes. We're actually going to be talking about a good Star Wars game for today, Republic Commando, particularly Boss. We're going to be drawing him today, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. But enough of an obese man-child with a kid's toy on his head. Time to draw Boss. Is that battery acid I smell? The items that you'll need for today's tutorial is a pencil, mechanical or regular, an eraser, and optional, colored pencils. All courtesy of the Republic, of course. Stage 1. The sketch. Right now, I want to get an overall feel of Boss's shape. I'm going to go ahead and do a rough sketch of his outline. Now, don't worry, nothing is final, so we'll have to make some tweaks and changes, but nothing is definite at this point. So, be as messy as possible. It's alright. No one is going to hate on you for that. This is just going to be a rough sketch, and we're going to detail later. I'm just getting a basic outline. I'm just doing some quick lines here and there to get an overall shape of the body, and then I'm just going to work my way up from there. Now, it's good to do this to where you can set the right proportions for your drawing and add the right details where they're supposed to be. His pose is going to be his right arm pointing out like he's commanding his unit, and his left arm is going to be outwards holding a blaster pistol. Now, for his armor, I would like to use an analogy to where it's similar to the design of Master Chief's armor. It's very complex. It uses really cool, unique shapes and designs of armor, and it looks really cool. It truly looks like Master Chief, but in the Star Wars universe. Right now, I'm just getting a basic outline like I did with the chest and the waist. I'm just getting a basic outline of his arms and the armor surrounding it. Now, for hands, it might be hard for some of you guys, but all you really need to do is just make a square-like hand, and then just add the fingers and other details. Now, it's kind of simple with the gun. Just for right now, make a square-like shape in the resemblance of the gun at the handle, the trigger, and the body, the barrel of the gun. And you see his trigger finger is pointing outwards right there, and his thumb is going to be holding the back of the handle. Make sure he has a nice firm grip right there. And we're just making the basic outline of the shape, and you don't really have to make it exactly like that. No one's going to actually look closely and critique, your blaster pistol and see if it's totally accurate to the Lucasfilm's design or the game's design of the pistol, unless they're complete no-lives. So, moving on to the left arm, this is the arm that's going to be pointing out, commanding his daring unit to the Geonosian horde. We're just going to make it to where he's just pointing upwards, and the hand is going to have nothing in there. It's just going to be a hand where you're seeing all the fingers. Now, the same thing that I did for the other hand, I'm just using square-like shapes. I'm just using some rough lines. So this is a very rough sketch of a hand, but don't worry, we'll round it out, add some more, detailing into that once we progress in the tutorial. Now for the head, it's pretty simple. Just make an ovalish shape for the head. What I did is I used some lines here and there to just get a good shape and rough sketch of the helmet itself. Right there, I'm almost like at the edge of the paper, but thankfully I had enough room to complete the head. Now right here, I'm doing a rough sketch of the visor. Don't add too much detail. Right now I'm kind of adding a little bit too much detail. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. Just make the visor for now, which is pretty simple. It's like a T shape, but at the bottom it has some two lines jutting outwards to the left and the right. If you've seen or are familiar with the design of clone trooper helmets, you know what I'm talking about. And especially if you're familiar with the Republic Commando's game. So right now I'm adding some more details to what I like to call the utility belt of the waist. Now there's a lot going on here, a lot of square-like shapes. There's really nothing like accessory-wise to put down here, but the indents of the actual waist and the utility belt are a lot. You have to, you know, fine-tune it a little bit, add some shapes, some squares here. Now I'm adding a little bit more details to the actual armor to make it pop, to make it a little bit more 3D. Putting some indents right there. What I just did right there, I added a little line to indicate the decals that's going to be on his armor, the markings for his armor. You also want to add 4 circles right there on his chest plate to the left. I mean to the right, sorry. Now at this point you might want to erase some sketch lines that you made a little bit ago, but don't worry, this is still going to be a rough portion of the drawing. I'm shaping, adding more, fine-tuning the lines. Here, well, like I said before, I'm going to add more detail into the hands here and there. I'm going to add in, he's wearing gloves, so I'm trying to add in more detail into the padding here and there. Now, the padding with his armor, except for the one that is around his neck, is not going to be really that detailed. Now, his left shoulder pad is very bulky, has some cool markings as you see right there. I'm adding that, trying to add in some nice indents to make it look real, to make it pop. A good reference to use if you have a physical item when drawing, it's good to hold that in your hand, whichever hand you draw with, and you know, have the hand where nothing's really happening with it, and just hold like a physical item to get some reference for that, you know? Like for example, I have a Republic Commando figure that you saw earlier in the video. I just used that, I just hold it up and looked at the details on that, and it's really good because you know, you might make something that is in a different angle, and using a physical item, you can turn it around any angle you want and get a really good feel and look of it. Now we're going to finalize the head here. We're going to add in some more detailing, some more indents in the armor, again to make it pop. We're going to give some love to the visor right there. Just add a bunch of little details here and there. Be careful when you're making the overlays for the markings of the armor. You know, you want to make it look like it belongs there. Make it sure they match up to each other, because some markings do separate from each other, but they do match up with the lines. So make sure you add a little bit of attention to that as well. Stage 2, Finalizing. This is the point where we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of more detailing to it. You know, add in a few more indents for more details. Maybe there's a couple of places where we missed a few things, and now we're just going to add them back in. This is going to be before the final stage where we're going to color it. Now, it's of course optional, but I do recommend it for this drawing because if you don't, then it'll just look like an ordinary clone commando. But if you're okay with that, then that's completely fine. But adding color is always great when you're making drawings. As you can see as you saw right there earlier, I used a figure for some reference. The final stage, coloring. This is the boss battle. You're almost there, guys. So what I did right there, I erased the lines, and then I just used a colored pencil to add a little bit of a more rougher you know, sketchier kind of vibe to it. I want to tell a story with this drawing, and that's what you want to do. You want to add in some scuff marks, some battle damage to your clone commando, you know, to make a story, you know, to actually evoke some emotion to your drawing. That's what every artist would want to strive to do, is add some emotion, some depth to your drawing. And by adding some scuff marks, you can tell a story that, you know, Boss has been in a very tough battle with some Geonosians, and, you know, he's just coming out and he's commanding his unit, you know, blaster in his hand, being all adventurous, not adventurous, but, you know, really brave and ready for combat. And colored pencils, very good for shading. What I did with the black colored pencil right there, I added some dark shading. There's going to be a lot of shading to the left side of his body, to the right side actually, I'm sorry. I'm mixing my my left and rights again. There's going to be a lot of shading going on to his right side. There's a lot of shadows are dropping down. Now, I did use the figure, but I also used a sideshow collectible bus that I got from Google Images. So, if you have like a computer, you know, or if you're watching this on, you know, on your like tablet or mobile device, and, you know, accessing this video and Google Images is not the easiest, you know, you can always use a figure like I said, but, you know, Images on like a search engine that you'll find is very helpful as well. So you can just get the best of both worlds, from a physical item and also an image on the internet. Now, the pencils that I use are orange, an aqua blue, a lighter blue, and a dark blue, a black, and a gray. Now, you saw me use white, but white is pretty useless on this. You won't need to use white. It doesn't show up unless you're using some type of construction paper. Now, I'm, you know, giving some love to every shade. What I recommend doing is that you add in different types of shades of orange to the markings and just go from there. And just, you know, add in some brighter tones as you go. And same thing for the visor. I use different tones of blue. I use dark blue around the sides and bright aqua blue for the main visor, and I use black for the bottom. Of course, don't forget those orange markings on his helmet. That's also important. Alright guys, this is wrapping up. You defeated the boss. Time to collect your prize, which is the finished drawing. And congratulations, you drew Boss from Republic Commandos. You know what? I think that turned out pretty well. So, let me know if you want me to draw the rest of the crew of Delta SWAT, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content here. Press start to draw, signing off.